In this video, I'm going to be doing an in-depth comparison on Spotify versus Deezer. So in order to get some structure to this video while I'm talking about Spotify versus Deezer, I want to cover 5 different areas. The first one would be music and music discovery. The second one would be UX and interface design and how we use the apps. The third one would be network effects and the social aspects. Fourth would be pricing, and fifth would be how each platform, Spotify and Deezer, treat their artists. If you're new here, punch the subscribe button. I do weekly reviews every week, and I also have my own music. I can put a link in the description. Please punch the like button and the subscribe button. Don't break your screen though. It does help with the YouTube algorithm. Okay. Number 1, we have music and music discovery. So when we're looking at Spotify, Deezer, Apple Music, SoundCloud, all the music streaming services, they're really covering the same amount of services. You search for songs, you play songs. And a lot of the streaming services now carry the same number of songs. There's a bit of a differentiation between some of them, but most of the songs you're looking for, the streaming services will likely have them. So when we're talking about music discovery between Spotify and Deezer, there is a lot of the same songs, and you're going to discover the same songs on both platforms, Spotify and Deezer, when you search for them. Here's where the music streaming services differentiate. They have to come up with features that can be tailored appropriately to you to find new music that you haven't heard before. Spotify does this very well with a few different number of playlists that I'll get into. Deezer does this quite well, but not at the same strength as Spotify, and I'll get into this. Deezer has a feature for music discovery called Flow, and I'm going to look at it here. Flow is basically your personal soundtrack, and a little note with that Add to Siri button, I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. But Flow is essentially you play that and you can hear Deezer has curated a list of songs for you that they think you're gonna like, that you haven't heard before. So you put that Flow on and then you start your day, your commute, whatever. There's also another couple playlists. These are playlists and kind of mixes that are inspired by one artist. For example, this is an inspired by Ariana Grande playlist. This is an Ed Sheeran playlist. This is a Taylor Swift playlist. So you can play those mixes and get a vibe of that playlist from inspired by a certain genre or artist of songs that you've never heard before, which is really great. Other than like Deezer surfacing you the popular playlists, playlists by moods, all the standard things that you would find in a music streaming service nowadays, that's basically it. Like Deezer has Flow and they're inspired by playlists. That's about it when it comes to new music discovery. Okay, now let's take a look at Spotify. Now, when it comes to Spotify and music discovery, Spotify has a bit more variety when it comes to putting new artists that you haven't heard before. A couple of the things are, their Discover Weekly playlists, where it's just an accumulation of songs that you haven't heard before, but they're kind of like the songs you already listened to. And that comes every week. Not to mention the Release Radar playlists, which are new songs you haven't heard before from artists that you've already heard before. And that's a great playlist. If you're following a lot of artists, well, they'll have all their new songs in that one playlist there for you. Another cool thing is the Taste Breakers playlist. It's like another degree where they're putting artists in front of you that you haven't heard before, but it could even be a little bit of a different taste, a bit of a genre, but they still think you might like it. Deezer essentially has the Flow and Inspired By playlists, and then Spotify has the Release Radar, Discover Weekly, and Taste Breaker playlists. On top of that, both also have radio, and they generate like a radio playlist for you. Spotify does that really well. Actually, I don't believe Deezer does that. They offer live radio playlists, but they don't generate radio playlists from artists you like that Spotify does, for example. So when it comes to music discovery and you're looking at the free and premium apps of both platforms, Spotify and Deezer, it's going to be quite similar. You'll be able to discover as much music as you can with the free apps on each platform, but you're going to be limited to ads and skips, for example. When you're on premium on Spotify and Deezer, you'll be able to use the flows and Inspired By playlists, and you won't be interrupted with any ads, so they're going to be about the same. When it comes to using Spotify or Deezer on a mobile app versus the desktop app, I found that Spotify was pushing more of that music discovery right up top in the mobile app and in the desktop app, whereas Deezer was really, they had more of the mood playlists and the flow playlists and inspired by playlists were buried in a navigation. But that's a different feature when it comes to the desktop and mobile apps for Spotify and Deezer. Okay, so that's category number 1 of music and music discovery when it comes to Spotify and Deezer. I'm going to crown the winner Spotify when it comes to music and music discovery. Let's move on to the next category. Next category would be the UX and interface design of both applications, Spotify and Deezer. UX being user experience. I'm a big supporter and fan of having a great UX and interface design that you really don't have to think about at all. It just kind of knows what you want and you can go through the applications getting what you want and you're not frustrated with anything. Let's do Spotify first this time. Spotify's app the default app is dark mode. So you have a black background essentially. It's not exactly black color, but it's a dark background and all the text is in white. So I personally enjoy this type of design. I think it's just essentially more cool. Deezer, they don't have a dark mode. Actually, I believe they do have a dark mode you could switch on, but their default design is white. That's just a small thing, doesn't really affect the user experience of performing when you're trying to search for music, but it's a good thing to know. Okay, let's dive a little bit deeper into the UX design of each application. To be honest, they're quite similar, almost identical in certain ways, which has me believe that Deezer, which came out in 2007, Spotify in 2006, that there might be a bit of a tale of both of them copying each other in certain ways, because I'm sure they're doing a lot of research and they know what design works best for music listeners. So when someone comes out with a new design, likely the other platform is going to copy each other. So with that, they're almost identical. They have similar navigations at the bottom with your library, search, and home. And then there would be similar navigations to when you're listening to a song and how you play it or skip back or skip forward. Okay, when it comes to free versus premium and UX design, I found Spotify to be quite a lot better how they, showcase their ads. For example, when you're on free and you're on the Spotify platform, there will be ads. But I found them to be more, interconnected into the platform where I wasn't actually noticing the ads as much. Now, they do force you to listen to the ads. You can't get around that. When it comes to Deezer, I noticed the ads more, and potentially this was because I was in light mode and not dark mode. Potentially dark mode in Spotify covers the ads a little better. I was in light mode in Deezer, and I found that I was just noticing the ads more, and they just looked not nice. And the design of the ads weren't even nice. So there might even be like a requirements thing on Spotify that they require you to have nice looking design ads, and Deezer, they don't really care. You can kind of put up any ad. I'm not sure. That could be a thing though. But the other thing on Deezer was when you are showcased with an ad, a listening ad, you really do have to listen to it like you have to do on Spotify. But on Spotify, you can shrink the ad while listening to the ad, but searching for another song. In Deezer, you can't do that. You just have to listen to the ad and stare somewhere for 30 seconds. Last point inside the UX design category, I want to talk about this feature that Deezer has, which Spotify actually doesn't. And a lot of companies do this. Deezer does it. They give you the features that in a labs format. So they're actually not they're not sure yet of shipping this feature out to the entire app, but they're giving it to their audience to test with, and they can turn these features on if they want to test the features. This is a strategy for Deezer to see if people are actually liking it and using it. Spotify doesn't do this, and they probably do this in more of a controlled setting with internal teams and actually are having people come in, or they do it online and test their features out that way. So Deezer does this though online with their audience. For example, I can turn on this sleep timer here by Samuel. And what that does, I'm not really sure. It says put your music in sleep mode. Last week there were other features in this, and next week there will probably be some more features. So it's kind of a cool way. It gives you a bit of an in on what they're working on, and maybe the feature is really cool that Spotify doesn't have, or it's something new. So I think I really do like that aspect when it comes to Deezer. Okay, so that's it for the category of UX design when it comes to Spotify and Deezer. I'm going to crown, this is a tough one. I think I'm gonna go half and half on this one. I do like a lot of the features that Deezer has and Spotify has, so I'm gonna go equal half on this one. I know that's a bit of a cop-out. Let's get on though to that next category, which is social aspects and network effects when it comes to Spotify and Deezer. Now, there is a bit of variance when it comes to the applications, way more when we were talking about the UX design category. There is a bit of a baseline where you can follow artists, you can follow your friends, you can heart tracks, you can share tracks. Both platforms allow you to share on Instagram stories. So if you're on Spotify, you like a song, boom, post it to Instagram stories. You can do that as well on Deezer. So there's some similarity in baseline there. Here's a big problem though. When it comes to social aspects and network effects, you're really only going to win when you have a bigger audience. Spotify has an enormous audience of monthly listeners and users that they're generally going to win that network effect when you follow a friend. It's really hard for me to follow friends on Deezer when I don't have any friends on Deezer. So right away, it's just kind of boring in there in the app because there's no action. I don't know any other circle groups that use Deezer, so it's just a little boring and quiet. When it comes to Spotify, I have a lot of friends using Spotify. I follow those friends. We each collaborate on different playlists together. So there's a lot more action, and just with that, there's an enormous network effect that can come with that. And I tell people about Spotify, they come on, network effect, snowball rolls, and they become a big, big company, which they are today. It does take, not to say that Deezer can't do this, it just takes a long time and the snowball does get bigger when you get more people on, and it just rolls and rolls and gets bigger and bigger. A small thing on that, which I did notice, were collaborative playlists. This is a big differentiation when it comes to Spotify and Deezer. Spotify has collaborative playlists, so I can start a playlist, click it on to be collaborative, and my friends or even people I don't know can collaborate on this playlist. And let's say this playlist is my top 30 best songs. Well, we agreed to have only 30 songs in a playlist, and maybe there's 3 friends on the playlist. They each put 10 songs in a week. New songs that you haven't heard before. So you're collaborating on a playlist. You're getting to listen to new music you haven't listened to before. It's a huge feature inside Spotify that Deezer doesn't have. There is no such thing as collaborative playlists. There are editorial playlists and algorithmic playlists in Deezer, but they don't have the collaborative playlists. I'm sure that's on their radar, and I'm sure they're trying to build something around that because it's a big differentiation in choosing a platform and a music streaming service. That's it for the category of social and network effects, and there's a clear winner here for me. I'm going to crown Spotify as the winner. Okay, so let's get on to the fourth category, which is pricing. Pretty simple here, pretty basic, and pretty much the same thing for each platform. Each offer a free platform, so $0 a month, all for free. You just sign up with your email. The only thing there, it's ad supported, so you're gonna have to listen to ads, and you're gonna be limited to the number of songs you can skip. So that's just how it is when it comes to music streaming services. I think most, if not all, music streaming services follow this type of business model where they give you this free platform and you just have to listen to ads. So you want to take away those ads, you can sign up for premium. There is about a 1-month free trial for each. The cost does vary depending on what country you're in, but in general, it's about $10 a month. That's $10 US a month that you pay for Deezer or Spotify. Then you don't have any ads, you don't have any unlimited skips, you can you could just go crazy, listen to tons of music, download music as much as you want. Okay, the last thing I want to mention is artists. How do each platform treat artists? And I like to put this as a main category because it's true. Like, we're listening to music from artists that are making these songs, and they need to get paid as well. Prior to any of the music streaming services, artists would just sell CDs, and the artist would make the money from the CD. Now you can have a music streaming service, and the company makes the money from the song, not the artist. The companies do pay out artists for streams, but it is very minimal, and hardly any musician can really make a living off of streaming unless they're in the millions of streams. And if you're in the millions of streams, you're likely a celebrity. So, okay, let's talk about how Spotify pays out their artists. Now, this does change quite a lot because right now in the music industry, there is a lot of debate on how songwriters are paid per stream. To date, though, Spotify pays about 0.0038 cents per stream. So if you go on my Spotify profile right now, I'm Charles Kling. You can stream a song and I'll be paid 0.0038 cents. When it comes to Deezer, the current payout stream for a Deezer artist would be 0.0056. So not a lot of money, but still higher than Spotify, and at scale that can make a bit of a difference. Apple Music is even higher. Tidal is one of the best payouts, and then Amazon Music is one of the lowest payouts actually. Google kind of follows just under Apple Music. So that's a big part of how artists make money nowadays. So I like to put that as a main category. So you kind of know, okay, what platform is treating their artists best. When it comes to Spotify and Deezer, Deezer pays their artists more than Spotify. That's it for the category of artists, and there's a clear winner here for me because I am an artist as well, and I do have my music on Deezer. I also have my music on Spotify. You can go there and stream it if you want, but clear winner there for me, Deezer. Let me know what you think in this video. I want to hear a debate. I want to hear comments. I want to know what you're using. Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer. Are you looking to choose between one or the other? Put your comments below. I'll get back to them for sure. I reply to every single comment. So let's have a discussion in the comments below. Punch the subscribe button if you're new here and give a thumbs up to this video. It does help with the YouTube algorithm. I'm an artist myself, so every stream, as you know, goes the mile extra. So I'll leave a couple links to my music in the description below, and I'll see you in the next video.